What's going on, guys? This is Bobby Douglas. Welcome to just part 2 of the Chris Duarte full game video breakdown. So let's get right into it. He's going to be number 5 in the white right here, guarding the ball. And here we go. So we talked about in the first half, Duarte basically is just a guy that any contending team right now should want, given his age. I'm going to turn the brightness up here a little bit. Given his age, given his overall just kind of skill profile, things like that. And then, just kind of like his shot making, I think, is really underrated. A lot of people just see him kind of like a three-point shooter, but I really think he does a good job creating space on his pull-up jumpers, off-the-dribble jumpers, and then using that threat of, really like lethal shooting to kind of attack openings and then finish strong at the rim. So I think there are a lot of really, positive things to like with Duarte. It's just going to be like, again, like the problem with ranking him is just like, he's clearly like a very solid player, but he's already 24 years old, right? So, and that's always going to be the discussion. And so, again, like I mentioned it earlier in the first half, where it's like if you're like the Thunder, if you're the Rockets, if you're like, one of these teams that are rebuilding, trying to like maybe build for the future, Duarte probably isn't your guy, right? But if you're a contending team, if you're Brooklyn, the LA teams, Phoenix, any of those teams, like kind of in that late first round area, then I would take a really strong look at Duarte, right? And so that's kind of where, again, in terms of like rankings, like depending on like, what team you are, like you're going to have some different feels. Right here, really nice play from Duarte just overall. So again, he's going to defend here, right? Kind of gets beat laterally, right? But he manages to get that rebound and then the hit ahead. Perfectly on point to LJ Figueroa. He just can't make the layup, but it's going to be goaltending. You can see him kind of get beat on the ball though, and that's obviously a concern with him just because he isn't super lateral. But yeah, you can see right there, again, he's very fundamentally sound, has a good stance, choppy feet. He does all the things you want, but then it's just kind of like that ceiling of like, okay, how much can we really improve his quickness side to side? And that's why I said, I think at 6'6", 190, he's better off being kind of like a 3 than he is a 2. Just probably because, in the long run, I kind of just tend to believe that Duarte, like, I think there's a better chance of him getting stronger than there is of him getting quicker, right? So I think if he adds like 15 pounds and he gets to like 6'6", 205, then all of a sudden you're talking about a very solid, stout wing defender, I think. And so that's kind of where I'm at with Duarte in terms of where he should play defensively, and then offensively he could obviously play 2 or 3 just because of that shot making. And so, it'll be interesting to see what a team decides to do with him. Again, it's going to be a contending team if I had to guess. But, that'll be interesting to see. We got, let's see, Duarte in that left corner. Get it. Oh, they couldn't find him there. But, and here we go. Let's see what he does here. And so, again, just like, he's really good at the jab step. And this is a nice little pass from Duarte. And again, he kind of does have a little bit of passing vision, but I just don't think that'll be a big part of his game because he can't really create, like, really for others as much as he can for himself, right? Just because he doesn't really have that next gear, that next level of kind of dribble penetration. But like right here, you see him, right? And he's just going to do a nice little drop down pass. So I think that's Eugenio Maruyi. And it's going to be a foul, almost an and one. But again, Duarte kind of showing you, just kind of the overall, I would say, feel for the game, the overall intelligence. I think that's something that he does really well. And again, when you're 24 years old, like it kind of like is like one of those things. I'm trying to think of another guy who was that old in college. I feel like there was a guy who played at Oregon and Villanova. Like he went to like 3 different schools. I can't remember his name though. Was it Darren Hilliard? I don't think so. Damn, why can't I remember his name? Dylan Ennis, was that it? It might have been Dylan Ennis. Dylan Ennis, I think it was him, where he just played for like 8 years in college or something. But let's see what we got here. I think we got a foul. Yeah. But yeah, he was on Oregon for a little bit. I think he was on that 2017 Final Four team. He played at Villanova too. That's Chris Duarte. And Dylan Ennis, I think, had some years in the NBA. I think Duarte's a way better prospect, obviously, and so he'll be in the league for a while. But yeah, these old guys, they can come in and contribute right away, man. It's, it makes a huge difference. You gotta remember, like, that's 5 years. 5 years. Think about that. Like, think about, like, where you guys were 5 years ago, right? You know what I mean? Just, like, in terms of, like, life. Like, 5 years ago, I was 16 years old. I was in high school, right? And, like, I just kind of look and see, like, oh, wow, my life has really changed since then, right? Like, just think about how different of a perspective 5 years is, especially when you're that young, Let's see what Duarte does here. Wanted the shot fake. We got a I don't know what happened there. They call it travel? Or, oh, Eugene Omarie's hurt. But again, you kind of see like he's really good at kind of doing those like little jab steps, those shot fakes, right? Trying to get his defender off balance, and most of the time, because he's such a good shooter and the defense has to worry about that, it works, right? And then what happens then? He's allowed to basically attack the rim and use that strong frame to, finish through contact and become just kind of that, 3-level scorer, basically because, that he's a really good 1-level scorer, right? Similar to what we talked about with Corey Kispert. And we got LJ Figueroa, not going to be able to get the roll. And there's Will Richardson. He's going to knock it down. This Oregon team was fun. Oregon's one of the more fun programs, I would say. Dating back to like 2016 when they were like a 1 seed, I think. They had like Dylan Brooks. They had, I want to say, did they have Tyler Dorsey then? Yeah. Elgin Cook, I think was his name. Got a rebound right there for Oregon, and here come the Ducks. And they doesn't look like they could get anything going. It's going to be a deep 3 for Richardson. He can't hit it. And here we go. Duarte's going to be on the ball. Got a foul there, it looks like. And our first media timeout. And here we go. So you can see Duarte kind of gives the guard like a little bit of space, right? He's not going to be like a Deuce McBride where he's just in your grill 24/7, right? He's going to try and be a little bit more containing rather than attacking, I would say. Just because I think he kind of knows his limitations laterally. But yeah, again, there's really nothing wrong with that, especially if you're a wing defender, right? That's where I think he's really going to kind of, hold his own defensively. But obviously, like the shooting and the scoring, I think is kind of the main draw with him. We got him on the left wing right now. Duarte 3 misses that one, but again, you can kind of see just like the shots he'll be taking. Again, he's comfortable off the catch, off the dribble, off movement, whatever you want him to do shooting wise, like he can do, right? Probably more versatile as a shooter than Corey Kispert, and Kispert's considered by many to be one of the best shooters in this draft, right? But Kispert doesn't really have an off-the-dribble game like Duarte, right? And it's actually kind of funny because like I was going back and forth. Got an and one here, but I was going back and forth like watching this game from Duarte. I was thinking like, all right, like does Chris Duarte, is he really like, does he do anything worse than Corey Kispert, right? I was kind of just like thinking about it, and I'm gonna have him like, I think Kispert's like 16 or 17 on my board right now. Duarte's like 23. But I was thinking about it, like it's kind of like a weird thought experiment. But I think ultimately with Kispert as Duarte, this is gonna be really tough to pass up if I'm like an NBA team. Just like that ability to create space, using his body to kind of just like create separation there, and then rising and firing. Man, he's gonna be really good. But like with Kispert, like I don't know. I think for me, what puts him over Duarte is just kind of like the overall like playmaking aspect of Kispert. I think he does a better job kind of like, getting to the rim. I think he's pretty strong. I think he's probably a better defender than Duarte right now, just overall. And I think, in terms of his passing and playmaking, I think he's a guy that really can like make a difference, like in terms of like finding gaps for teammates. Not that Duarte can't, but I think Duarte's more of like a 3-level scorer than he is kind of like a shooting passing type, right? Is that going to go in? Oh my God. Chris Duarte. And this is deep too. Just watch this again, right? Just the step back. Like, Corey Kispert can't do that, right? And so that's, again, Duarte, it's going to be tough to pass up on him, man. It's just like, I think the combination of like the age and then just like, I don't know. I really don't know. I am like kind of at a loss right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with Duarte, really. It's a tough rank. But I think Kispert, just in terms of like how they're both such good shooters, right? That's kind of like where I'm like kind of like drawing these comparisons. Duarte did a nice job putting his chest into his man right there, but it's ultimately going to lead to a foul. Let's see what we got here. But I think with Kispert, I think he is a little bit better driving to the basket. I think he's able to kind of get to his... Duarte's pretty good at that too, though. I don't know, man. But those two are kind of like... I'm kind of thinking like... all right, like, are they really like, are there really 7 players in between those two? You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to think, like, obviously it's like very close to when I have to release my big board. And I can assure you, like, pretty much the top 15 are figured out, I would say. My top 60, I'm only going to do 60 this year. I think I mentioned it in the first half video, but only doing 60 this year just because I feel like I don't think this class is nearly as deep as it was last year. And then also just kind of like, I was doing other things outside of like scouting. Obviously last year there was nothing going on, but now I have to pay attention to the NBA that's going on. I got to pay attention to like college stuff. And then obviously with COVID, like I was able to do these things every day, right? And then, with school and everything, it kind of got tougher. So, so I didn't get to as many players as I would have hoped to. But I'm getting to like 60, 70, and then I'm kind of whittling it down from there just to make it 60 even. Just because I don't want to make the big board video like the 5-part series that I did last year. I'm probably just going to do it in 2 videos, like 31 to 60 and then 1 to 30. And plus, like, I got to, figure out my plan for that. I'm also going to do another mock draft video that is, we're taping Thursday, so tomorrow. And you can see Duarte weak side right there. Not much going on, but taping a mock draft video tomorrow with my buddy John Lichtenstein. You guys know him. He's been on the channel before. Knocking on Hardwood guy. And then Bryce Hendricks, who I think he has a podcast called Upside Swings. You guys may have heard of it. But it's actually kind of funny because like the 3 of us were in a fantasy basketball league together. And like me and Bryce kind of just hit it off immediately because we both are huge draft guys. And so that'll be really fun. Look for that on Friday, I would say. It's just going to be a mock draft, first round, and it's just basically like we're each picking, like we're alternating picks. So like I have the first pick, John has the second pick, Bryce has the third, I have the fourth, John fifth, Bryce sixth, and so on, right? And then we're just doing the first round. And then I'm hoping if we get enough like audience participation, I'd love to see you guys like vote and see who does the best at the end of it, right? Like who did the best job picking for their respective teams. So hopefully you guys watch that video. I think it'll be really fun. Bryce is super smart. Like I was talking to him earlier. Like I've been talking to him throughout the week, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm like scouting like 170 players." I'm like, 170, bro. Like I like max out at 100. Like I'll look at 100, I would say, and I end up ranking like 60 to 75. But Bryce has like 1 through 170 like ranked. I'm just like, wow, So he's super smart. So you guys will enjoy that conversation. I think it'll be a really fun exercise too. We won't know each other's picks ahead of time, so it's not like we're just reading off a pre-planned script. Like this is a live draft. So we have no idea who we're going to pick with each one. Spoiler alert, I will take Cade Cunningham 1. Right here, Duarte, you can see again, he kind of seems to like, yeah, maybe that alley-oop pass was a little bit behind. I don't know who that is for Oregon, but, again, doesn't really have the passing chops, and that's why, I don't know, Kispert, I think, is just a little bit better, I would say, overall. I think he has better size. I think defensively, he's a little bit more solid. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But still, Duarte, like, his shot-making, man, is just phenomenal, right? And so that's definitely an intriguing skill set. But, I think I'm going to stick with Kispert. I think I've decided it here. So thank you guys for helping me out and making me think about it a little bit more. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. What do we... Oh, did he step on the side up? Well, that's a college basketball turnover. We got, let's see. Ooh, Illinois, Michigan. That was probably the game when Io couldn't play. And then somehow Michigan just got smoked. And here we go. But yeah, no, I think you guys like the mock draft conversation. It'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to doing it, just filming it, you know what I mean? So that'll be fun. And then what else we got? Let's see, Duarte on the right wing. And we got, let's see what he does here. Nope, just not going to do anything. Good screen set by him. And again, he has pretty, like, broad shoulders, too, so he can kind of, like, again, like, we talked about, like, how I think he's so underrated, like, in terms of, like, his physicality and strength, right? And that kind of makes him more of a 3-level scorer, right? Based on the fact that he can just kind of, ooh, we got a foul right there. Ooh, that's tough. I thought Duarte got up there. But just based on the fact because his shooting is so good that he can kind of create advantages based on his gravity in that regard, right? Similar to like Corey Kispert, like we talked about. Free throws for Arizona here. We'll skip ahead. And we got an offensive rebound. And here we go. And yeah. So yeah, Duarte kind of got on the wrong side right there. And again, that guy, that's Christian Coloco, I think, who's like a 7-foot like monster of a human. So like I don't really blame him for that, but you like to see a little bit better positioning right there. A lot of inbounds plays on this possession, and here we go. Duarte in the open. Oh, could have been a carry right there. Coming off that flare screen again, they love running Duarte off of all these screens, flares, pin downs, all of that. And good shot from Eugene right there. Duarte communicating defensively, kind of calling out those switches, which is always good to see. And again, just like the overall maturity, he'll be drafted and he'll be older than probably half of his teammates, right? Which I think is kind of funny. So I think that's something that I think is going to be interesting to see. I think he'll command respect in the locker room right away. And again, like he's one of the guys where like his just the raw transition to the NBA, right? Just like the, fitting in with teammates and all that stuff. I don't really worry about Duarte at all in that regard just because of his age. He's kind of just like more mature than a lot of these guys. And obviously he can play too. So, that's why I said it yesterday. Like he's a top 5 guy if you are a team if you're a contending team in this current window, right? Just in terms of guys who will be positive contributors right away. I think Duarte might be your guy. You can see him right here chasing around number 13 for Arizona. Again, you can see that. See, again, like good fundamentals, right? He's kind of staying in front. Right there. When he gets that kind of like leverage, right, and he's able to just kind of stay in front when he's not like trying to like scramble or something like that. Like when he's just playing good, solid set defense, he can contain ball handlers just fine, I think. It's just a matter of like how often is there not going to be a screen set? How often, like, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I think he's probably better off guarding off the ball. Will Richardson hits that 3 right there. And just kind of seeing what he does in that realm. But yeah, like I think I'd rather have him guard a wing. We got a timeout right here. Media timeout under 8. You see Chris Duarte just like the step back 3. Just, that one rattled home. But that was like a Kawhi shot. But you can see like, I think he was, no, Evan Mobley was Pac-12 Player of the Year. But Duarte, I think, was first team all Pac-12. We got, and here we go. So again, you can see he's kind of just like giving, I think that might be Max Hazard. Like, no, that's not Max Hazard. He's just kind of giving the handler to like a little bit of time to kind of just, a little bit of room just so Duarte doesn't get burnt. We got, is that another media timeout? Yeah. Got a free throw here. Skip this, and here we go. Duarte in that right corner. It could have been a foul. Let's see what he does. Decent backdoor. I wouldn't have made that pass, but I appreciate the effort from Duarte. He's not a guy. That's one thing I think Kispert does better. Like Duarte isn't a guy that can move out without the ball very well, just because he's not super quick and like shifty and deceptive without the ball in his hands. That's something that I think he can do when he's off of a screen, but in terms of just kind of like creating his own space off the ball, I think Kispert kind of does that a little bit better. Just overall his feel for moving off the ball, I think Kispert is like probably one of the best in the class. Duarte can do that, but I think he needs to be more told where to go, rather like where Kispert is just so instinctual when it comes to like cutting and things like that. Duarte's good off-ball mover. It's just like, not to the level of Kispert. So as you can see, I'm trying to like kind of justify it just because I was thinking about it. And it's like, what does Chris Duarte do that Corey Kispert? Like, what does Corey Kispert do that Chris Duarte can't, right? And so I was, like, thinking about it the entire time. Just like, back and forth. And that's why I keep bringing up Corey Kispert, because that's kind of, like, what's weighing on my mind right now. And obviously we just did a video on him, too. Let's see what Duarte does here. Again, he loves this little, like, being in isolation, rising and firing, right? And, again, he kind of has a little bit of that rip-through game, too, that you see some of the best NBA scorers have. But we got free throws here for Duarte, I believe. Yeah. And let's see if he makes this one. I think it's 1-1. Knocked down the first. He was a 81% free throw shooter this year, so obviously, again, not that you would be worried about the shot, but all right, I think we got, this is when he had like a cut on his wrist, I think, or something. Yeah, he had to get it taped up. But yeah, not like, not that you were worried about the shot, you know, but like, just so you know, for the record. Again, just one of the more pure releases, I would say, in this draft, you know. And let's see what we got here. Duarte, weak side. Again, decent stunt, and then not leaving the corner shooter, but then he kind of got turned around, right? And just, like, watch how he's just kind of, like, hopping around here, right? Like, it doesn't really seem like he has great overall, like, quickness or even coordination with his feet. So just watch how he's moving, right? So, again, he's just, like, kind of, like, jumping around, right? Like, just, I don't understand what that is. You know, I just, and, like, especially for him, like, he's not going to cover a whole lot of ground because he's not super long. So I just thought that was kind of like an interesting little like bunny hop, right? You know, he was a little bit lost there too. But we got free throws here for, I think this is Azulis Tabellis. And there we can't get that one to go. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of interesting where you're just kind of like again, like kind of showing that lack of lateral quickness and overall thing. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the biggest issue, I would say, defensively, and that's obviously what we've kind of been touching on the entire time. But just kind of an example of it right there. Good alley-oop play from Oregon. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, that's what I wanted to tell you guys. So, like, in terms of, like, the breakdowns, right? So, I said we were going to try and get to 50. We are not going to get to 50. Like, I was thinking about it, like, I think I said we were going to get to 50 when we were through 20, right? And now having done all these, like, this is going to be the 32nd one, right? I'm not going to get to 50 before draft day because I want to focus a lot of my time on the big board too. So, and then the mock draft that's coming up as well because, like, I think that's fun, right? And it kind of gets less repetitive. But in terms of the breakdown, so this will be the 32nd one. I plan on doing 8 more, okay, before the draft. So, and you can find the 8 players. I don't have it in front of me, but you can find the 8 players that I plan on doing up until Monday, the 26th, or the 26th. You can find the 8 players. I'll tweet it out after I'm done with this video, right? And then, from there, after that, like, once people get drafted, if there's any, like, fan of a specific team that you guys want to see, right? Duarte right there, a little bit late on the contest, but if there's any guy you want to see me do a breakdown on post-draft, I'm more than willing to do that. But right now, I just kind of want to focus on the overall big board, and I want to focus on the mock draft too. And so I think 40 is kind of a good number to stop at pre-draft, and then post-draft, if you guys have any requests based on who your team drafts, or if you just want to see somebody, you know, I'll do these breakdowns by request, right? But, you know, we're going to stick with 40. You know, that was my initial goal, but then I got kind of lofty and I went for 50 when I was talking about it, like, here. We're not going to get to 50, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. But, you know, I think 40 is a decent number, you know, getting you guys pretty much every first-round prospects that's even in discussion, right? And so, yeah, these 40 breakdowns will also probably be very close to the top 40 guys on my board, right? I tried to, like, plan it out like that. And then, yeah, there's going to be 20 guys who we maybe don't touch on, but they'll be mentioned in my big board and things like that. So, yeah, just to give you a little bit of, like, kind of, like, housekeeping notes, I would say. So just keep that and just, you know, remember that if I don't get to 50, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. But, again, like, I'll do them after the draft, too. Like, if you guys want to see anybody, like, I'm more than willing to do them, right? But right now, with the draft coming up, I'd rather get the big board in on time versus, like, a breakdown on, like, you know, like, I'm trying to think of, like, a player that's going to be, like, a David Johnson breakdown, right? You know what I mean? Just kind of, like, prioritizing, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of just, like, the plan moving forward. And, yeah, again, if I don't have the list in front of me right now. I know one of them's, like, Joel Ayayi that I want to do, but 8 guys left after Duarte, and then those will be the 40 breakdowns pre-draft that I'll do. So, you know, from now until Monday, just kind of expect, like, you know, 8 guys in these next 5 days. So, you know, still a decent, like, you know, a decent amount in these next 5 days leading up to the draft. But then on Monday, I'm going to, like, start focusing on, like, you know, the big board video, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. We got, looks like an offensive foul or something. Maybe an illegal screen. Final 4.5 left here. Duarte, you can see, is just kind of, playing good, solid help defense. Not doing much. Kind of stunts right there. Maybe irrationally, just because like his feet were kind of stuck in quicksand right there. Let's see what we got. Duarte on the left wing. I think he scores 2 more points. It might be free throws. No, it's not. Yeah, it's free throws. So he'll score a few more free throws, I think, and then that'll be it. Got another cut. It looks like. But here we go. But again, just the Duarte thing. Just if you're a team that's contending, right? That's kind of Duarte's got to be on your board, I think. Just again, the shot making that he provides, the 3-level scoring that he can kind of a little bit improve on still, but still has shown a lot of just overall promise in that regard, right? We got a timeout right here. You can see Duarte highlights again, just some of the shots he was making, especially in the first half too. Just the step back threes, just everything. You know what I mean? Just really, really impressive. And yeah, remember he is the Dennis Green Candidate of the Year, which is what you see is what you get guy. He is who we thought he was, right? Dennis Green, obviously, I explained that in the first half video, but yeah. So again, just kind of he's very easy to project, but he's not easy to rank, right? Because what he's going to be in the NBA, but you just don't know how to rank him because he's kind of on a different timeline than the rest of the rookies, And so do you almost treat him as a European signing? You know what I mean? Is that kind of is that worth a first round pick to bring somebody in who's older, a 26-year-old, right? Who, I don't know. And so that's just going to be one of those things where you're just kind of okay, yeah, again, just the ranking of Duarte is going to be tough. I think he's going to be post 20, pre 25, so kind of in that 20 to 25 range. We got a jump ball, looks like right here, and we'll inbound it again. Nope, free throws. Yeah, and here we go. But yeah, he's just kind of a tough guy to really kind of get a grasp on. Not in the sense that Alperen Şengün is a difficult evaluation, because with Şengün you really just have no idea what he's going to be in the NBA, right? Because just you don't know if the scoring will translate, even though he's so dominant in Turkey. But with Duarte, what he's going to be pretty effective in the NBA. The shots there. What his role is going to be. It's just about compared to others, how good is he going to be in his class? We got let's see. Ooh, nice little wraparound pass from Will Richardson. Good cut from Duarte right there, and he's going to fill out into the corner. Smart. And there's LJ Figueroa. Can't get anything going. Will Richardson. Can't get that one to go either. This Oregon team was hurt a lot during the year, too. Because I'm just looking at this roster, and I'm just thinking yeah, these guys were pretty talented. Duarte, Figueroa is a good player. Will Richardson, Eugene Omoruyi. They had some good players. But I forgot, I think Will Richardson was out for a while, and just kind of, Duarte, really nice rebound right there. But yeah, I think Richardson was out for a while, injuries, COVID, things happen. But they got to the Sweet 16, which I think, was a very good season, given the fact that they were a 7 seed and they had to deal with all the injuries and stuff, right? So, good on Oregon. Again, always seem to be playing their best basketball at the right time of the year. They're just one of those programs. And here's Duarte. Let's see what he does here. And again, what is that? That's the floater I mentioned in the first half, right? So this won't be this is not going to be a huge part of his game, but I don't know, if he can hit that, again, he kind of has the layup package, which is good because he's a very strong finisher at the rim. We talked about how he's just really just kind of built. And if he hits those floaters, I mean, he has really nice touch on his jump shot, so it would make sense to kind of for him to have a good floater, I would say. But I don't really think that's going to be a huge part of his game because I do think he's such a good mid-range shooter that I feel you'd have to be in a really weird spot for him to take that floater over the stop and pop mid-range, right? But if he has that in his bag, more power to him, You can see he has 7 rebounds as well. Again, very underrated rebounder for his size, averaged around 4.5 a game. Just kind of just does all the little things, he'll hustle, things like that, We got the final minute 45 left, too. See Duarte in that corner. And again, he's stunting that one. And again, so right here, he either needs to fully commit to his man or fully commit to the driver. This is James Akinjo, who, by the way, will be playing at Baylor next year. And I think And again, it's going to take a lot from me to not have Baylor repeating. Anyway, beside the point. But Duarte, you can see him right here, right? This is kind of a good place to pause it. So at this point, he either needs to commit to his man or he needs to fully commit to the drive. You can see Duarte kind of in between, right? He kind of, again, that lateral quickness, he kind of isn't like moving his feet really well, right? He's kind of trying to reach with his arms. Obviously, he kind of gets caught in no man's land, and it's going to be an easy layup for Akinjo. Again, like kind of just like he doesn't have that, like he doesn't have the quickness to really be able to cover some of his mistakes in terms of decision making defensively. Not that he makes a lot of mistakes in terms of that, but you know, it's like we talked about. I think we talked about Isaiah Jackson, right? And so you know, because he's so long and stuff, like he can he kind of is allowed to like have more mistakes than a Chris Duarte, right? The margin for error for Isaiah Jackson is much wider than it is for Chris Duarte. And so that's also another thing that's kind of working against him. Like, because he's not super quick laterally right there, he didn't tag the roll man, so bad few possessions for Duarte, right? So this needs to be him. And again, he's just late to tag. And again, you can see right here. So just watch this really closely. Watch the stutter step almost, right? And again, like he doesn't know, and then like he's kind of just like he's doesn't really have great lateral bursts, and he's kind of just in between, right? And so again, like if you're like an Isaiah Jackson doing that, or if you're a Franz Wagner would have just been there. But if you're somebody who has a little bit more quickness, right, and you know, just length, then you're allowed to kind of hesitate for a brief moment. But because Duarte doesn't have that really, it kind of becomes a little bit more of an issue for him, I would say. You know, just because every single mistake he makes is probably going to be taken advantage of. Let's see what we got here. And bad pass from Duarte. Again, he's had a pretty rough 3 possessions right here. Easy lay for Arizona. 28.7 seconds left. Again, just not really a guy who I would be like, you know, putting in a lot of like areas where he needs to be a passer, things like that. You're going to see Arizona kind of run off the clock right here. They're not going to foul Oregon, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just pause this video here. This is pretty much it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I think Duarte, again, kind of showing you some of the limitations towards the end. But again, the shot making is legit. The 3-level scoring, I think, is all the way there. It's really strong. If you make him guard wings, I think he'll be a lot more successful if he's guarding out on the perimeter and in space. But yeah, definitely needs to work on his lateral quickness. And then overall, just like being 24 years old, how much upside does he have? Probably very little, just in terms of like having maxed out his ceiling physically, right? So, you know, interesting prospect, difficult one to rank for me just because you don't know how to weigh the first 5 years versus the next 5 years. But regardless, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And again, 40 players, so 8 more. Follow me on Twitter at BobbyDouglas21 for the full list. It'll go out like maybe in an hour or so. So, yeah, thanks so much, and we will see you soon. Bye.